city.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this precious time you have given us so that we can discuss important topics. We are praying for a productive meeting today. And Lord, we ask that you bless the people who have been called to lead our community. May you pour out your grace, wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, Lord, to create success and growth in this community. Guide them, Lord, in coming up with the best possible and morally right solutions that bring the best benefit to the people we serve. Lord, I thank you for every beautiful person here. Father, I pray a hedge of protection over every single person here, Lord, and I pray that you bless them in their day-to-day and bless everything that they put their hands to. That's in Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Lord. Will you join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two proclamations today. The first one is National Tennis Month, and Councilmember Eddie Sauer is going to read that for us. Dr. Sauer?
Okay. All right. Thank you for this opportunity. So is Megan Collier here? Oh, you're all here.
Oh, good.
All right. Everybody come on up.
Step behind.
Yeah, she gets to step behind. Okay, here we go. Whereas on May 21st, 1881, the United States Tennis Association, originally known as the United States National Lawn Tennis Association, was founded in New York City, New York, to create rules and standards for the emerging game of lawn tennis. And whereas the USTA is the nonprofit national governing body for tennis in the United States and leads the promotion and growth of the sport at every level of play, from beginners to professionals at the U.S. Open. And whereas the USTA proudly partners with local tennis programs to showcase the important health, social, and educational benefits of tennis and make the sport available to everyone regardless of age, environment, condition, or ability through its USTA adaptive grants. And whereas the latest research by the Physical Activity Council shows that more than 23.6 million Americans play tennis in 2022, an unprecedented 33% increase in participation over 2019, and the highest number of players since the PAC study began in 2007. And whereas by increasing the accessibility of tennis for citizens of Amarillo of all ages and ability, the USTA has contributed to making our community happier and healthier. And whereas the USTA has declared the month of May as National Tennis Month to encourage players, organizations, facilities, retailers, tennis manufacturers, and more to promote local programs and activities at parks and facilities to showcase tennis and spread the word about the sport and its benefits, and to help players and non-players alike find courts and play opportunities in their community. Now, therefore, we, Mayor and City Council of the City of Amarillo, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as National Tennis Month in Amarillo, and urge Amarilloans to become aware of and support National Tennis Month, given under our hands and seal of office this 9th day of May 2023, the Mayor and all the City Council members. So, Megan, would you like to...
Okay, perfect. Well, this is such a wonderful recognition for the Alex O'Brien Tennis Foundation. We were founded in the early 90s after Alex came back to Amarillo after dominating the professional tennis tour. And so we've been steadily doing some great work here in the community to increase access to tennis, particularly for underserved communities here in Amarillo. We've got some great board members behind us, and then we've got one of the great players here in the city of Amarillo, Alex Gonzalez, just straight fresh back from the state state tournament. She plays at Amarillo High, so we're really proud to have her part of our organization as well. And I do want to mention, if you play tennis, it's proven you live 10 years longer than non-tennis players. So I hope to see all of you all this Saturday at our free play day out at Amarillo National Tennis Center. We are so delighted to partner with our friends at Parks and Rec here at the City of Amarillo on this project and also on resurfacing the tennis courts at ANTC and at Memorial Park so that we have a wonderful couple of facilities to grow the game here in the Texas Panhandle. So thank you to the city for embracing tennis, and thank you for Parks and Rec for being a great partner to us. So thanks.
Our next proclamation is for Older Americans Month, and Councilmember Frida Powell is going to read that for us.
Good afternoon. Lisa Hancock is here to join us with Amarillo Area Agency on Aging. So you all come on up and join me. Okay. So, whereas Amarillo includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community. And whereas communities benefit when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently. And whereas those in Amarillo recognize the need to create a community that offers the services and support older adults may need to make choices about how they age. And whereas Amarilloans can work to build an even better community for our older residents by not limiting our thinking about aging, exploring and combating stereotypes, emphasizing the many positive aspects of aging, inspiring older adults to push past traditional boundaries, and embracing our community's diversity. Now, therefore, we, Mayor and City Council of the City of Amarillo, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2023 as Older Americans Month in Amarillo and urge every resident to celebrate our older citizens, help to create an inclusive society, and accept the challenge of flexible thinking around aging. Giving under our hands and seal of office this 5th day of May 2023, the Honorable Mayor Ginger Nelson, Council members Cole Stanley, Frida Powell, Dr. Eddie Sauer, and Howard Smith. And Lisa, I'll give you an opportunity to make some comments.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Well, we appreciate Frida. She came and read our proclamation on Friday the 5th at the Region 16 Education Conference Center, where we had our celebration for Older Americans Month. And the theme is Aging Unbound. That means look out. We're out there, and we're gonna maybe play tennis or something. But but we are alive and well in Amarillo and the Panhandle, and we had a great celebration with almost 200 people in attendance. We have great support from our community to feed us and entertain us. We had the Glenwood Elementary School dancers that came and did their Mexican dances and the sombreros and the beautiful colors, and we had an enchilada lunch, and all of this was free for our seniors who wanted to come, and it was a great celebration. I'm sorry y'all missed it. Wish you had been there, but maybe next year. And remember, We are all aging. There's not one person alive that's not aging. So hope to see you next year. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 5 on our agenda is announcements. We actually don't have any announcements today, so we're going to move right on to item 6, public address, and I'll pass the microphone to our moderator, Stephanie Coggins.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for participating in today's City Council meeting. Your input and your opinions are important to us, and we are glad that you're here to share them. At each posted meeting, we invite our fellow community members to address Council regarding posted agenda items. Every speaker has 3 minutes to address the Council. At the end of 2.5 minutes, a warning beep will alert you that you have 30 seconds left to wrap up your thoughts. We ask you stay within the 3 minutes allotted. Speakers are asked to limit your comments to items on the posted agenda. When you come to the microphone, please state your name. Whether or not you live in the Amarillo city limits, please state which item you are speaking on, for, or against. Again, thank you for being here today to share your thoughts with the City Council. We have one public address today, and that's Michael Ford, and so we invite him up at this time.
Mike Ford, Amarillo, Texas. Mayor, council members, Mayor-elect Stanley. You know, I'd walked in here. I had a whole set of notes to talk about, and I've changed my mind. And you know, you read the room, and you listen to people, and you kind of feel and sense the environment as you walk in a place. And the human part of me wants to be angry and lash out and revenge and all that stuff, and so I'm I feel like some angels have landed on my shoulders here. So I want to thank the Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for your service. You really represented the city well.
Thank you.
Dr. Sauer, thank you for your service. You've done a great job representing the city. Mr. Smith, Howard, you got a few more days to serve, but just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for your service. And Mayor Nelson, we've disagreed many times. We've sat in your office and talked for a length of time. I don't know if I've been here a couple dozen times, maybe. I lost count. But I do want to thank you for your service. I'm just going to conclude. I've got 2 paragraphs here, and this might be the shortest comments I've ever made. It's going to say, maybe all work together to ensure a brighter future for our city, founded on principles of justice and the rule of law. So thank you all for what you've done for the city, and thank you for supporting the next City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. That concludes public address.
Thank you. At this time, then, Council will move on to item 7 on the agenda. 7A is review items for the regular meeting and the attachments. Do you have any questions up front about your packet? Okay, let's move on to item 7B, which is a quarterly budget update.
All right, Mayor, we've got Matt Poston, Finance Director, to come in and give us the update. Matt.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. We're going to do a quarterly budget update for the second quarter of the year, which is through 3/31 of 2023. This is the first 6 months of our fiscal year, so we're halfway through the fiscal year. We'll start with our general fund budget. As you can see on the slide, our general fund revenues budgeted through 3/31 were $130.1 million. We came in at $136.5 million, which is a $6.4 million positive variance. And we'll move to the next slide and see what's kind of making that up. You can see that property tax is coming in above budget, and that's just a timing thing. We're not actually over collecting property tax. It's kind of hard to budget exactly what part of the year people will pay their property taxes. So we're showing over 3.2, but in total we're at 99.4% of the annual budget, which is about normal. So we're not expecting like a huge increase of property taxes or anything like that. So the next one is sales tax is coming in at $4.2 million over budget. We'll talk about that in a little more detail later. Hotel occupancy tax is still kind of lagging behind budget at $405,000 under budget. Gross receipts business taxes are $828,000 above budget. Charges for services are $274,000 under budget, and that is culture and recreation, which is your civic center, library, parks, and a lot of that's going to be timing because most of those programs are very heavy in the summer, and we haven't got to the summer yet. So, and then the last one is fines are down $325,000. And those have been trending down for years just with some of the changes in the legislation. Any question before I move on to the next slide? We'll go into sales tax. Here's a 10-year history of sales tax. This slide hadn't been updated since the last time, but we'll move on to the current information. You can see through March, we are up 6.18% over last year and 12.27% above budget, which is $4.2 million above budget. So sales tax is still strong. We do have April numbers, which was the March sales. We're still up 6.13%, which is about $2.5 million over prior year, and 12.69%, which is $5 million over budget. So we're still seeing those sales tax come in strong. We're closely monitoring those to see what impact, if any, the recession that's supposed to be coming or any of that will have on that. But as of now, they're still strong. And any questions on sales tax? Okay. We'll move on to hotel occupancy tax. This slide is the same as last time, just showing some historical information. And this time this slide shows what happened during the quarter. You can see that through the end of the quarter, we are down $319,000, and that's about 7.43% from last year, and we're down from budget by $405,000. So hot tax receipts are lagging. We are seeing that. We're closely monitoring that with the CVB, with their help to see kind of what's going on there. Through April, we do have the April numbers, which is the March receipts. We're still down 9.2% from budget, and we're down 7.4% from last year, which is about $387,000. So those receipts are down a little bit. But like I said, we will continue to closely monitor that as we go and make any adjustments if necessary. The next section we'll talk about gross receipts business tax. This slide just shows you the rates for all the different gross receipt business taxes. This slide shows you the actual budget versus actual for the quarter. You can see that for the quarter, we're actually above budget by $827,000, which is about 7%, and that is driven mostly by your electricity and also your gas. As we all know, there's been increased fuel factors and rates for both electricity and gas, which drives up the franchise fees due to us because those are based on the bills. So, and you can see that cable and telecom are kind of offsetting a little bit. It's kind of hard to predict what they only have to pay one or the other after some legislative changes, so it's hard for us to predict exactly which one they're going to pay, but we have seen those decreasing over the years just due to people going to streaming and away from cable. So we'll move on to the general fund expenses. For the quarter, we had a budget of $120.1 million. Our actual expense was $114.5 million, giving us a variance of $5.6 million that we underspent the budget. And the largest underspend is in personnel services, as we, along with other businesses, struggle to attract and retain staff. That's about $5 million of that variance is in personnel. And personnel does make up the largest portion of the general fund budget. That leads us to the general fund net variance. Our revenues were over $6.4 million. Our expenses were under $5.6 million, so our net variance is $12 million to the good through the first quarter. Any questions before I move on to, or the second quarter, any questions before I move on to utility sales? Okay. We'll look at utility sales through March. Solid waste came in right at budget, just $36,000 over budget. And then water and sewer sales are lagging behind about $2.6 million, which is down about 6.2%. We have seen this trend. We are looking at it. It's kind of early to tell still. Our heavy usage months are going to be your May through September. That's when most of our water is used. So we still have the summer coming up where we could make this up. We have had more precipitation this fiscal year to date compared to last fiscal year. So I think this year through April we're at 5.15 inches versus last year we were at 2.65 inches. So there has been a lot more rain this year, which does have a great impact on our water sales. So that's what's kind of going on there. And as we go to the harder, drier months, like I said, we'll see how that comes out. May through September makes up about 50% of our revenue, with August usually being our peak month. So those will be the important months. We'll keep monitoring it and see where that's going. And then you can see at the bottom that drainage came in right on budget, just over by $109,000. Any questions there before I move on? This next graph just kind of, I'm not going to go over it in too much detail, but it just kind of charts water sales versus the precipitation from this year and last year, just showing that there is a big correlation between precipitation and water sales. Same with the next chart. This is more of a historical look at it over the last couple of years. The first chart was just this fiscal year. This chart is a couple fiscal years back. And we will end up on health insurance through the second quarter. We are looking good. We are $1.5 million to the good on our medical claims budget, which is about 12%. So we're seeing our medical claims stay in and actually be under budget. So we're sitting good there. I know that was pretty fast, but any questions?
Just curious on the medical, do we think the wellness plans are impacting those claims? Because I know the city's made an effort to implement. Matt's looking at me like, hey, that's not my thing. That's okay. I'm not trying to throw you a curveball, Matt. I'm just curious.
Yeah, and we're still in the early stages of implementing those, so I mean, I think they do help, but we don't really have the data to back that up.
To prove that that differential is related to that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Why do you think hot taxes are lagging?
That's a good question. We're working with CVB very closely on that. I can't really see. We're seeing occupancy kind of stay steady, but the revenues are coming down, so I don't know. We're looking into it closely. We'll keep monitoring it, and we will change course if we need to on what we're using the hot tax for.
And just as a reminder to us, you're using the hot tax with regard to Civic Center operations.
Yes, ma'am.
We use it to pay the debt on the ballpark, and then anything we have left over capital improvement-wise at the
and
Civic
also a
Center.
contract with CVB.
And we pay the CVB contract with it. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Moving on to item 7C is updates from council members serving on outside boards and commissions. We have an update from the Amarillo Local Government Corporation.
I'll do that.
Okay. Councilmember Smith.
Oh, I've got a report here. I'm going to read most of it. We've been very busy. Project updates. Jerry Danforth provided an update on the renovations taking place at Hodgetown, which were required due to new Major League Baseball specifications. Because our Hodgetown is relatively new, we have a lot less than older ballparks, thank goodness. Sod pools have now been operating the garage since the start of the season, and things are going well. Marketing will continue to increase, and we expect this will boost traffic to the garage. The president of our LGC, Michael Hanning and Andrew Freeman, scheduled a lunch with the new Embassy Suites general manager, who is Thomas Wenzel. He has just started, to get him up to speed on the lease agreement and the LGC relationship. We get a report each time we meet from the manager of the hotel, so we have a new manager now. The other one moved to Florida, I believe. And then we've had quite a bit of discussion at our last meeting regarding the condo regime. We've come up with the idea that we could get our space used across from the ballpark. Rather than just lease it, we've created a condominium where people could buy a part of it. be part of the condominium. And so we've got the documents have been drafted and approved by the LGC board. Todd Boykin is the attorney that's kind of the expert on condominiums. The city staff will work with Todd Boykin on some minor changes that need to be made to the documents, such as parking allowances. The board discussed giving 2 parking spaces as a minimum per unit. In addition, for every 500 square feet over 1,000 feet that people get, they get an additional parking space in the parking garage. And then another topic, discussion and providing directions to staff on next steps for listing agreement and marketing of the retail space. The listing agreement that we have expires on June 30th. So a subcommittee has been formed of the LGC. There's 7 members on the LGC, and the subcommittee made up of Cole Stanley, myself, and
Megan
Zacatine. The 3 of us have met more frequently than the LGC and will be, they did that on the condominium, and they'll be interviewing realtors that are interested in listing the property and get them to explain what they can do. And then the next topic, we discussed in consideration of a pilot program, parking agreement between Amarillo Local Government Corporation and the Panhandle Baseball Club. This item formalized the agreement with sod poolers to operate the parking garage during games and events. LGC will earn 20% of all revenues, no matter the source. The agreement will be for 1 year, and at that time, LGC will decide whether to do a longer agreement. And I believe that's the gist of what's going on. We've got a lot going on.
Anything to add, Mr. Stanley?
The only thing I would add there is just Councilmember Smith's willingness to keep pushing on this deal. He's going to be able to stay on the LGC for a while, and we both feel really good about getting this ball across the finish line. We think this condo regime provides a lot of opportunity to bring to that building what it really is intended for, getting businesses and getting not only property tax but sales tax revenues generated here downtown. And so we love the fact that we have a sellable product now, not just a leasable product, and Councilman Smith's been integral in that, so I just appreciate him for all his work.
Any questions about that, Council? Okay. Thank you guys for that report. Anything that you want to request, Council, for future agenda items or reports from staff or city manager? Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Anything there that needs to come off for further discussion or questions? We have a motion on the consent agenda.
Yes, Mayor. I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Powell, seconded by Councilmember Sauer to approve the items on the consent agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes with the 5-0 vote. And that brings us to the end of our agenda. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all for being here.
I was just sitting over and telling Frida.
It's 29 minutes.